Hi, I am Paul, Azura's uncle. After watching Kant episode, we are sure you are like Azura, my little niece, having many questions in your mind. In this part, we'll focus on Kant's general advice for a successful life. In a nutshell, Kant's general advice is this: in morality, stick to the rational principle and avoid being affected by any personal emotions, inclinations or affections. In the next video, I'll explain how your moral values are indispensable for your successful life.
Hi, I am Professor Wing. Let's start with Kant's distinction between the hypothetical and categorical imperatives. This distinction will help you understand the special nature of morality, and it will prepare for the next video where we'll show how a moral life forms the core of your successful life. Now, for a successful life, there are different tasks we need to perform. For instance, if you want to acquire a certain technical skill, such as the mastery of French, you should follow the necessary rules of skills. In this case, studying the French grammar and practicing the oral skills. Similarly, if you want to pursue your personal happiness, you should follow the so-called counsels of prudence from experience. However, if you are not interested in fulfilling those goals, like learning French or attaining personal happiness, you need not follow the rules or the counsels. Kant calls these cases the applications of the hypothetical imperative. That is, the rules or counsels would have the force of an imperative only if you want to fulfill the corresponding goals. You need to take the action only on the condition that you want to achieve the relevant goals in the first place.
Hello, I am Dr. Hare, a colleague of Professor Wing's. Now, on the other hand, there is a type of action you have to perform, no matter what goals you have in mind. This is the moral action. The force of this special imperative is not relative or conditional. It's absolute and unconditional, that is, you have an obligation to follow it. That's why it's called the categorical imperative. For Kant, the only way to act unconditionally is to put aside your personal concerns and act purely in accordance with the moral law. You act morally by treating it as a matter of principle, no matter what happens. The principle here refers to the moral law, that is, the categorical imperative. We will explain more the moral law in the next video.
Let's take an example to illustrate Kant's point why personal concerns should not figure in the moral action. Let's say you treat your parents, spouse or friends very well because you are very grateful for their love to you. In this case, your personal gratitude would be the determining factor of your action here. Right? But what would you do if we changed the scenario? What if they didn't love you so much? Instead, let's say, they had treated you very poorly. What if your parents had physically abused you in your childhood? Or your spouse had been unfaithful to you in marriage? Or your friends had betrayed you at the critical moment? Would you still treat them well? If the motivation of your action depended on your gratitude, obviously you might not perform the moral action anymore in that case. Why not? Well, because you would have lost the motivational force, that is, your gratitude. In fact, you might even treat them very poorly in that case. More importantly, Kant asks, how could we call you a morally good person if your commitment could easily change? If your action conditionally depends on your personal concerns, it is merely a hypothetical imperative. For this reason, it falls short of being a moral action.
Well said, Paul. On the other hand, for a genuinely morally good person, they would act on the moral law as a matter of principle. The key phrase here is a matter of principle. It means that the morally good person would act on the moral law, as a matter of principle. If someone is your parent, your spouse, or your friend, you should treat them well according to the moral duties you have towards them, no matter what they have done to you. In this sense, you act unconditionally when you act morally, so, morality is unconditional.
In this connection, Kant claims in the comic episode that he is not sure whether the vendor of apples is a morally good person or not, for the vendor's honesty may or may not be conditional. Only if he acted unconditionally would Kant call him a genuinely morally good person. Azura has learnt this important lesson from Kant. Do you agree with Kant?
3 morals can be drawn here. First, to act morally is by no means easy. you have to put aside your personal concerns. And you need to act unconditionally, as a matter of principle, in accordance with the moral law. Second, being moral isn't easy. But it is not impossible, it's a matter of your free choice. Finally, in your moral judgment, you need to know the intention of the agent before you can make a fair moral judgment.
Let's conclude this part. For Kant, the hypothetical and categorical imperatives are different. Only the categorical imperative in morality requires you to have your unconditional commitment. If you can generate life goals from the categorical imperative, don't you think that it's very nice? For you'll know that you have to pursue them as your moral duty. And, finally, Kant's general advice is this: you should stick to the moral law as a matter of principle and avoid being affected by any personal concerns or self-interests.
Okay. In the next video, we will explain how the moral law directly shapes some crucial aspects of your successful life. Let us see if you would agree with Kant there. Bye for now.